Think about all the revolutionary products Apple has helped to create, like the smartphone, the modern computer, or something as new as wireless earbuds. What if I told you we almost never got any of these world-changing products? I'm Javen, let's jump right into it. Picture this. The year is 1997, Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls had just won their 5th NBA championship, Titanic was the biggest movie in the world, and Apple had just lost $700 million due to poor business decisions. At the end of the day, Apple's computers were not innovative enough to keep up with Microsoft's ever-evolving Windows. After losing 12% market share, Apple was on the verge of bankruptcy. Apple was so desperate they even attempted to be bought out by a larger company, IBM. Apple had lost $1 billion in 12 months, and everybody was asking themselves, how could this have possibly happened? Back in 1985, Apple's board of directors forced Steve Jobs to leave Apple. Steve Jobs left to go found his own tech company called Next, a less than successful computer brand that flopped very soon after release. Steve Jobs then focused on creating his own operating system using the Next computer's already existing operating system. During this time, Apple had started to develop a new operating system for the new Macintosh computers. However, the CEO of Apple at the time said that the new operating systems that they had in development were not good enough and were not ready for the release of the new Apple computers. In a panic, Apple desperately looked for a new operating system for their new Macintosh computers. They had considered all options and even considered putting Windows, their biggest rival, onto the new Apple computers. Apple attempted to reach out to a company at the time called B. B did not want to work with Apple or create their new software, so B reached out to Steve Jobs' company Next, and they collaborated with Next and B to create the new operating system for the new Apple computers. Apple was so satisfied with Next and B's creation that Apple decided to buy Steve Jobs' company Next and permanently use that team to make the operating system for the Macintoshes. After Apple eventually purchased his company Next, Steve Jobs eventually moved his way back up to CEO of Apple. When Steve Jobs returned to Apple in 1997, they only had enough money to keep the business alive for 90 more days. Days before Apple declared bankruptcy, the rival at the time, Microsoft, had interest in investing $150 million into the company to keep it alive. Everyone at Apple was shook. Days later, Steve Jobs would announce that Apple had been saved. However, there was a catch. Over the next 5 years, Apple computers had to exclusively use Microsoft Office for every task. Keep in mind, in 1997, computers were exclusively made for office work. Despite what you might think, Microsoft did not do this out of the kindness of their hearts. They did this to avoid a huge lawsuit. At the time, Microsoft had a 90% market share in the computer business. The United States saw this as an unfair monopoly and prepared a massive lawsuit that would indefinitely damage their business. So instead of fighting the United States, Microsoft helped to revive their biggest rival, so they would no longer be declared a monopoly and they wouldn't have to fight the United States. Using the money from Microsoft, Apple launched into the 21st century, revolutionizing the modern computer, releasing the first ever smartphone, and eventually becoming the biggest American company, being worth over $1 trillion. Now we are back to today. We take advantage of modern technology in every aspect of our lives. You are watching this on a device that Apple helped to pioneer. It's truly crazy to think how different of a reality we were so close to living in. So the next time you use your phone, consider the fact that it was very close to never being invented. You should also consider the fact that you should subscribe. These videos take a long time to make and a sub would be greatly appreciated. If you like this video, check out the new PS5 video I just made, or check out the review of the Sony XM4s right here.